Hi guys, this is Raghav from Headphone Zone. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. Now, one of the fastest growing segments across the board is in-ear monitors that feature a Type-C connector. Now, why is this becoming very popular? One of the reasons is that most of our phones don't have a 3.5mm jack anymore, and a lot of people don't necessarily want an in-ear monitor with a digital to analog converter separately to be able to plug it into their smartphone. Now, a lot of brands, especially in the entry-level segment, are coming out with their own in-ear monitors that feature a Type-C connector, which has a very simple basic DAC inbuilt into the cable itself. Now, this may be a simple DSP chip, but it allows you to use these earphones along with your smartphone without needing a high-resolution digital to analog converter separately. Now, normally I would ask everyone to use a wired earphone with a 3.5mm connector and use a dedicated digital to analog converter because that's what gives you the best sound quality. But for convenience, a lot of people may prefer using an in-ear monitor with a Type-C connector that's a simple plug and play with your smartphone that doesn't need a dedicated digital to analog converter. And today we're going to be looking at the best sounding in-ear monitors with a Type-C connector which are available right now. First up, for a price of less than 1,000 rupees, I have with me the One More Piston Fit with a Type-C connector. That's just incredible. For a price of less than 1,000 rupees, I never thought I'm going to be holding with you a perfectly good sounding in-ear earphone that is incredible value for money, that doesn't need a dongle or a DAC separately. What you're getting for 1,000 rupees is a very good sounding earphone for the price, and one that is also phenomenally well built because this earphone is entirely made out of aluminium. So it's really strong, very durable. The USP of this particular product is, of course, the fit. It's very comfortable. It's been very ergonomically designed. One More is a brand that's not new. It's been around for many years, and the One More Piston Fit is by far the most popular earphone, not just here in India, but everywhere around the world. They've absolutely nailed it with this particular earphone. At the price, I think what a lot of people are looking for is a simple earphone that gets the job done and sounds good. You'll find that this is comfortable. It will last you for hours and hours on end when you're listening to music. It's also very durable because it's entirely made out of metal, so it should last you for many years. And because it comes with a simple plug and play Type-C solution, you don't need anything else. You're good to go. This earphone has been very well rated only because of the fact that it's incredible value for money. But you should also know that it also has a high quality MEMS microphone. So if you're someone who likes to take calls on the go and you want a wired earphone rather than a wireless device, the microphone on this particular earphone is really high quality. A lot of people in their reviews keep saying that this is a really nice sensitive microphone, so it picks up the voice quality quite well while keeping the noise out. You'll also find that because One More as a brand has tied up with Luca Bernardi to tune all the earphones, this sounds quite balanced, quite decent. It's not having that extra bass bloated experience that a lot of cheap earphones have out there. It's quite neutral, and for the price, I don't think that there is anything else that I would recommend. So for a budget of 1,000 rupees, highly recommended for all the people looking for a beginner earphone to get the job done. Alright, next up, I want to talk about the Moondrop Quark II. In last year's video, one of the most popular earphones that I spoke about was the Moondrop Quark. Now this year they've refreshed that. They've got the Quark II, which is again their entry-level offering featuring a Type-C connector. So it's got a DSP chip in here, digital signal processor, that allows you to plug and play with your smartphone without needing an external DAC. Now this is a fairly simple earphone. It's a very lightweight design. It's made out of plastic. I can see that there's some amount of metal that's also used to make it and give it that feel of high quality. It's a earphone that features an inline mic, remote, so ticks all the boxes that you would need for an entry-level Type-C earphone. Now, the only thing I don't like about this particular earphone is it's a little bit more expensive than last year's Moondrop Quark. The Quark II DSP is for about 1,800 rupees or so. And so at that price, now all of a sudden you'll find that there are a lot of other options which are out there. But what the Quark II has going for it is very similar to its predecessor, the Quark I. It's got a very flat, neutral sound signature, which if you're a fan of, then I suppose that the Moondrop Moondrop Quark 2 is a little bit of an upgrade from the last year Moondrop Quark. It's got a little bit more detail, it's got a little bit more resolution, and the build quality certainly looks a little bit nicer as compared to last year's Moondrop Quark. Alright guys, but for a price point of less than 2,000 rupees, we now have an incredible selection of wired in-ear monitors that are now available here, and so many different options that I highly recommend. And we've made a dedicated video talking about our best earphones for less than rupees 2,000, where we compare all of the different options and tell you what the nuances and differences between all of them are. But what's important is that this year, for the same price of about 2,000 rupees, we now have Type-C variations for most of these very, very popular in-ear monitors at the 2,000 rupee price point. Now, my number one recommendation would always be to be able to take any of these wired earphones and use them along with a digital to analog converter or a dongle DAC to get the very best sound quality that's possible. But for a lot of people who are at a budget of 2,000 rupees, they don't want to spend an additional 1,000 or 2,000 rupees for a dedicated DAC. They want the convenience of using one device along with their smartphone to start listening to music, and may not necessarily want to spend an additional amount of money to have a second device. Well, the brands heard that, and all of them have now released Type-C versions of their earphones with a very, very simple digital to signal processor, which may not sound as good as a dedicated DAC. But for a couple of extra 1,000 rupees, you'll find that what you get in sound quality, you can get the convenience factor for just a few extra 100 rupees. So for a price of just over 2,000 rupees, I have 5 wired earphones that I'm going to recommend with a Type-C connector. The first of the 5 IEMs for 2,000 rupees with a Type-C connector is the 7Hz Salnotes Zero. We spoke about this in last year's video as well, and it's still one of the most popular earphones in this price segment, for a very simple reason, which is that the 7Hz Salnotes Zero is widely regarded as one of the most neutral sounding earphones for the 2,000 rupee price segment. They also have a Type-C variation which doesn't have a very fancy DAC that's inbuilt, but it gets the job done. It's simple plug and play, plug it into your smartphone via the Type-C connector, and you're good to go. The earphone still sounds very, very good for the price, which is why it's so popular, and it continues to be the benchmark to beat on this year's list. Number 2, you have the very popular Moondrop Chu II, now available with a Type-C version. Moondrop calls it the Chu II DSP. Now, this isn't a very simple earphone to talk about. Moondrop hasn't just taken the Chu II and added a Type-C cable, they've taken it a step further. This cable now features a very, very nice DSP chip that has a whole bunch of added functionality that Moondrop has added in. If you like tweaking around with the sound, the Moondrop Link app allows you to do that, and that's the big USP that Moondrop has added to the Chu II with the Chu II DSP cable. As compared to the 7Hz Salnotes Zero, you have a little bit more bass, a little bit more treble presence, so it just becomes a little bit more engaging to listen to. But the big upgrade as compared to the 7Hz Salnotes Zero is the build quality on these earphones. They're really well built. It's a metal housing, so they should last you a long time. So it's no surprise, for a couple extra 100 rupees at 2,299, the Moondrop Chu II DSP is a very popular earphone out there for everyone looking to start their audiophile journey with the all-in-one device. Another wired earphone that's very, very popular is the Tangzu Waner SG, which is now also available with a Type-C variant. Now, for those of you who've been following our channel, you guys know that what I'm holding in my hand is the Headphone Zone X Tangzu Waner SG. Tangzu's done a beautiful job creating a really, really nice earphone for us as a collaboration, and this co-branded earphone has been an absolute success. One of the reasons why is because it sounds really, really good. It's very, very well tuned. You've got just a little bit extra bass out there to make it a little bit more fun to listen to while still maintaining a very, very neutral-like sound signature. The USP of this particular earphone has to remain the mid-range, the vocals. It's probably the best sounding vocals and mid-range for any earphone in the 2,000 rupee price segment. A lot of people really, really like the way that the Tangzu Waner sounds, and I love the fact that it looks gorgeous. A lot of people love the 3.5mm variation, but now the Type-C variant makes this an absolute success. It's a little bit more expensive than the 3.5. For a price of about 2,299, you get an all-in-one solution. The 3.5 variant, of course, sounds very good along with a dedicated DAC, but the Type-C version doesn't sound too bad at all. And at this price segment, it's one that I highly recommend. All right, so for some of you who are not looking for a very neutral, flat sounding sound signature and want something that's a little bit more bass forward, a little bit more bass driven, just because you're looking to have a little bit more fun with the sound signature, the top recommendation in this segment by far is the very popular Headphone Zone X Fiio JD1 Type-C earphones. Now this also comes with a 3.5mm version, so some of you who've been following our channel, you guys know that Fiio and Headphone Zone collaborated to create this co-branded IEM, and right from day one we had a 3.5 and a Type-C version. And the biggest difference between the Type-C and the 3.5 is the ability to customize and tweak and tune the sound signature using the inbuilt digital to signal processor. Now you don't need an app to be able to do this. You can use the buttons on the remote itself to toggle through 5 different sound profiles. So you've got a vocal forward one, you have a Harman target curve, you have a very neutral one, and you have a V-shaped sound signature as well as an extra bass sound signature, which I think is really popular with a lot of people who are choosing this particular earphone. Now the default variant on this is also tuned to have a much more bass forward sound signature, which is why I highly recommend this to anybody who's looking to have just a little bit more low end to add a little bit of fun, a little bit more punch, a little bit more of a kick and an impact to the sound, but also find that the treble has been smoothened out a little bit just so that it takes away any harshness and fatigue that you may be experiencing. So for those reasons, just because of the fact that it's so incredibly popular for a price of just 1,799, this is easily one of our favorite recommendations at this price point. Fifth and last option from the earphones at the 2,000 rupee price segment is the Simgot EW100 DSP. This is again a Type-C variation to the popular Simgot EW100. It's a little bit more expensive at about 2,500 rupees, and Simgot is known for having another V-shaped sound signature, but with a little bit more focused on the treble. So if you're somebody who's looking for a very forward sounding earphone, one that has great treble presence, then the default recommendation at this price segment with the Type-C variation becomes the Simgot EW100 DSP. Alright, so let's summarize all your options at the 2,000 rupee price segment, give or take a little bit. So at 1,799 you have the very popular Headphone Zone X Fiio JD1, the one with the bass driven sound signature with the cooled off treble and the added functionality of being able to change the sound signatures with 5 different sound profiles. Now with a little bit more money you reach the 7Hz Salnotes Zero, which is at just about the 2,000 rupee price segment, the most neutral sounding one of the lot, the benchmark to beat, very popular for many years now, but doesn't have any other features and functionality. It just gets the job done. Now 2,299 you have the Moondrop Chu II DSP. It's got another neutral sound signature with just a little bit more bass and treble as compared to the 7Hz Salnotes Zero, but what you now get is also a metal build quality and the ability to tweak and tune the sound signature with an equalizer however you want using the app. So it's great value for money at that price segment as well. You also have the very popular Headphone Zone X Tangzu Waner SG, also available with the Type-C variation. This has probably got a little bit more bass than the Moondrop Chu II, a little bit more treble presence in the Moondrop Chu II, but now also has a really rich mid-range and vocal presence. So in terms of sound, this is probably my #1 recommendation. Now for a V-shaped sound signature with a little bit more focus on the treble, for 2,499 you have the Simgot EW100. So I hope that helps in choosing between all these 5 options at the 2,000 rupee price segment. I'm sure there's one that will work for you. Now if you're looking for Type-C earphones which are a little bit better than these 2,000 rupee segment options, then you'll find that you have to go all the way till about 6,000 rupees to start getting some really good sounding ones. There aren't too many other mid-range options between 2,000 and 6,000, so I thought we'll focus straight away on 3 of the best sounding wired earphones with Type-C cables at the 6,000 rupee price segment. Alright, first up you have the one more triple driver for just over 6,000 rupees. This is a very, very popular earphone in this price segment. And one of the biggest reasons why is because it's very versatile. It comes with both a 3.5mm cable as well as a dongle that converts it to a Type-C earphone in the box itself, which is why it's on this list. You'll find with one more, they've gone out of the way to make sure that the customer has both the options, the ability to use in 3.5 and in Type-C. But what's amazing is that this particular adapter that they're using to convert from 3.5 to Type-C is in fact a high resolution dongle DAC. It features a well-known DAC chip that's very, very popular and sounds very, very good. So what you're really in essence getting is a earphone as well as a high-res dongle in the box that works seamlessly together to give you a Type-C convenience with the sound quality of a high-res DAC already in the box. Now, the one more triple driver, as the name suggests, has 3 drivers per side. It has 2 balanced armature drivers, which are responsible for the treble and the mid-range. They're very sensitive. They give you a very, very clean output, and you'll find that you're hearing a lot of details in the music that you may not have otherwise heard because of the sensitivity of the balanced armature drivers. But the balanced armature drivers don't do a great job in giving you a thumpy bass, for which one more has in fact included a single dynamic driver on each side. So it's a hybrid earphone, one that features the balanced armature drivers, 2 of them per side for the mid-range and vocals, as well as the treble, and 1 dynamic driver to give you the low-end punch and kick. Next up, for a price of rupees 6,999, you have Moondrop's offering in this segment, which is the Moondrop May in your monitors. Now this comes with the Type-C cable, and unlike the one more triple driver, this does not give you the flexibility of using it via 3.5mm or Type-C. It's just the Type-C cable, and that's your only choice. But Moondrop took the opportunity of adding a whole bunch of functionality along with the Type-C cable, just like they did with the Moondrop Chu II DSP. So now you have the app. The app allows you to have endless tuning possibilities and equalizations. So you can basically go around tuning this earphone to however you'd like it to sound. Now, this has a much more warmer tonality, a lot more weight, if you will, to the bass and the mid-range. Everything feels a little bit left-leaning. So if you're somebody who wants a laid-back, warm sound signature with a little bit of emphasis on the bass, then the Moondrop May's default tuning gives you that. And the reason it's able to do that is because it's got a very unique driver configuration. Right here, you have a hybrid configuration featuring 1 dynamic driver as well as 1 planar magnetic driver. I don't think I've heard of any other earphone that has a planar magnetic as well as a dynamic driver used together, and Moondrop has done that. I can't tell you the reason why they've done that, but I have no doubt that that's basically the reason why the Moondrop May has a very unique sound signature with a lot of emphasis on the bass. It's because of the way that these drivers have been configured together. Alright, the next option I want to talk about, at the same price of 6,999, you have Simgot's option right here. This is the EW300. Now, this takes the joke and pushes it 1 level higher, which is this features a tribrid configuration. You have a single dynamic driver for the bass, a planar driver for the mid-range and the vocals and the treble, and in addition to that, Simgot has even added a piezoelectric driver which is responsible for the super highs. It gives you that very airy treble that no other earphone gives you. There are 3 different drivers being used on each side, which I think is absolutely unique. I don't think any other earphone at any price segment does something as innovative as this. Now, the end result of this is that you still have a very, very balanced sound signature. The treble, unlike a lot of other Simgots, is not so harsh, not so bright. It's cooled off a little bit. So you get a very, very versatile sound signature, one that can be tuned endlessly using the DSP chip that it features on its Type-C cable. Now, again, unlike that one more triple driver, this doesn't give you the flexibility of using it via 3.5mm or Type-C. The Type-C cable is built in, but I think it's a really, really fun, innovative sound signature that Simgot has gone for, and one that a lot of people will like, especially if they're looking for a very neutral sound at the price. So for those of you who aren't familiar, I must talk about Meze. Meze Audio, of course, is a premium brand of headphones from Romania. They make some of the best sounding headphones at any price point. If you've been following a channel for a while, you'll know that I've spoken about their products at various price points, the Meze 99 Classics, the Meze Empyrean 2, all of which are some of my favorite headphones. The Meze Alba is their attempt to make a relatively affordable entry-level earphone for people to get into what makes Meze audio unique and experience what their headphones can sound like. And at a price of 9,999, it's still the most affordable Meze audio product that's out there, but on our list is the best sounding Type-C earphone that you can get your hands on. All right, let's wrap up this video. Now, normally what would I recommend? Using a wired earphone along with a high resolution dongle DAC. If you're on a budget, you're looking for a convenient option, you want to use something that has everything in one device without spending money on getting a dedicated dongle DAC, a Type-C earphone allows you to do that. So at the price points of 1,000 rupees and 2,000 rupees, I certainly believe that Type-C earphones offer great value for money, especially if you consider all the different sound signatures and options which are available at price of 2,000 rupees. You'll find lots of them sounding really, really good and giving you great value for money as opposed to needing to buy a dedicated dongle DAC. Now, they may not sound as good as the 3.5mm variants, but that's a compromise that you're making for convenience. Now, coming to the option that you have at the 6,000 rupee price point, you're getting a lot more value for your money over here. But the real question that you have to ask yourself is, are you better off taking that budget and splitting it in getting yourself a wired earphone as well as a high resolution dongle DAC for the same budget of 6,000 rupees? A lot of people do that, so you may not find that it makes too much sense to buy a Type-C earphone for 6,000 rupees. But the reason that people still do it is because you find that it gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of tuning. You have the DSP chipset when you use it along with the app, especially for products like the Moondrop May and the Simgot EW300. You'll find that it's fun to tune the sound signature the way that you want, and that's the real USP at this price point. So it's not for everyone, but it makes sense for people who want to have the flexibility of being able to change the sound. Now, when you come to the 10,000 rupee price point, which is where you're getting the Meze Alba, you're really getting a great sounding wired IEM. You should be using this along with a dedicated high resolution DAC. But the amazing thing is that you get one in the box when you're getting this. So the reason to get it is really just that you get a DAC along with the 3.5mm earphone in the box. So I hope that that helps lay out all the different choices and options that you can get yourself with a Type-C earphone, and you're able to understand where is it that you want to go for a Type-C earphone and where is it that you're better off getting yourself a dedicated DAC along with a 3.5mm version of the IEM. All right, guys, thank you so much for your time today. I'd love to welcome you to try out all of these options at the Headphone Zone Experience Studio if you're here in Mumbai, or try all of them out at a Headphone Connect event happening near you. Thank you so much. See you on the next one.